Well, hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us today for how to use LawClerk for bankruptcy. I'm going to give everyone a few more minutes to join us, and while they do, I'll take a second just to introduce myself. My name is Kristin Tyler. I'm an attorney, and I'm also one of the co-founders of LawClerk, and I'm so happy today that one of my fellow co-founders could join me because her expertise and her background has actually been in bankruptcy. So Talitha, would you introduce yourself?
Hey, Kristin, I'm so excited to be here. So I've been a practicing bankruptcy attorney for 16 years. It's hard to imagine it's been that long, but pretty much covered the gamut, 7s, 13s, and pretty extensive corporate 11 work. So I'm excited to talk about how LawClerk can help our bankruptcy attorneys.
Fantastic. So give me 1 second here. I'm going to go ahead and queue up our presentation so that you can see this. And away we go. So once again, for those of you who just logged in and joined us, we are here for how to use LawClerk for bankruptcy. And thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully, if you're here, you already know what LawClerk is, but if not, in a quick recap, what we do is we help match up busy attorneys, mostly solo attorneys and smaller firms, with our nationwide network of freelance lawyers. You can work with our freelance lawyers on a project-by-project basis at the flat fee price you set. There's no sign-up fee and there's no monthly fee. So it's a really flexible, affordable way for you to get the help you need when you need it. So we're going to start out, we're going to go through some of these basics. And then at the end, we're also going to highlight how you can actually build teams of our freelance lawyers to work on different types of projects or cases, etc. So, all right, my guess is that if you're here, one of the reasons you're here is because you're focused and you're, really tuned into what is the best use of your time. We all have the same 24 hours in the day. And what may have worked for you when you first started your firm and you were wearing all the hats and doing all the different roles, over time isn't going to work for you quite as well. And as you continue to grow your firm and your practice, you're going to want to look towards tools like delegating and outsourcing to get the help you need. And so definitely outsourcing is a fantastic resource for any attorney, especially one who is in growth mode. It's a very flexible, affordable way for you to get the help you need when you need it. It helps you keep your overhead low. It gives you flexible staffing so that if you're in need of an extra attorney to help you maybe during a certain season of the year, you can get help then without having to employ someone year-round with a traditional hire. It's also a way that you can tap into certain areas of expertise. If issues come up on a case where you need to find a freelancer that has a really deep knowledge in that area, you can find someone to do that. It's also a great way to increase your revenue, and we're going to go into that in detail later on, so stay tuned for that. And also, outsourcing can really lead to a competitive edge when you're competing for new clients and you want to get new clients. A lot of the cost savings you're going to see that will drive more revenue, more profit for you, will also mean better rates for your clients and hopefully more clients in the door. So what exactly can you outsource? Well, I would venture to say darn near anything. When we talk about outsourcing, we really focus on the written work. So these are things like big research projects, drafting any sort of document from a letter to a settlement agreement and everything in between, helping with discovery, marketing, and so much more. And we're talking about intake forms, administrative type work, things like that. So you can really feel free to get creative when it comes to outsourcing and outsource just about any task you don't want to do. So how do you get started? Well, thankfully you found LawClerk. If you haven't already created an account, I'm definitely going to challenge you to take a few minutes to do that today. If you do already have an account, then look at if you have connected with your dedicated LawClerk advisor already. Your advisor is there to be kind of like a concierge and help you get started with the platform, to answer any questions you have, to help you with pricing or selecting the right freelancer. They just have a wealth of knowledge. And so definitely you're going to want to take advantage of our advisors and work with them and draw off of their knowledge to help make you more successful with delegating. You'll also want to check out our resources on our attorney resources page on the website. Let me show you that. We just redid this a couple weeks ago and it's fantastic. So on the home page, you'll see at the very top in the middle, I've got this big red arrow there, so hopefully you can see it. We have a link to our attorney resources. And when you click that, you're going to go to that page. And we've got a ton of resources there, hence attorney resources. Sample projects, the podcast webinars, etc. But probably most interesting to you is going to be these different handouts we have on sample projects by area of law. And you'll see we have one specifically on bankruptcy, but we also have these sample projects by area of law for a number of other practice areas. So if you happen to practice in other areas as well, check those out. We've got those there for you to help you. And so now that we've kind of teed this up, making sure everyone is familiar with Law Clerk in case you weren't already, I definitely want to hand this over to Talitha now to draw on her background and her expertise as a bankruptcy lawyer to help explain what are some things you can outsource in the world of bankruptcy. So Talitha.
Wonderful. We can start with our Chapter 7 consumer practice. Your best use of your time is meeting with your clients, marketing, getting them in the door. It's a numbers game. And so spending a ton of time drafting is just not the best way to generate revenue or the best way to grow your practice. So wonderful things to use Law Clerk for. When you have that unusual issue that pops up, like I had a really messy Chapter 7 tax issue. And I had spent a couple hours researching it, couldn't figure it out, and posted it and had a law clerk who is a bankruptcy tax expert do the memo for me and give me all the answers I needed. It was amazing, and just hugely, hugely helpful and a way better use than me spending the entire day trying to figure out this issue. Exemptions are something that come up in Chapter 7. So, if you're on the creditor side and you're objecting to an exemption, or on the debtor side, you're defending those exemptions. Don't waste your time drafting it. Get somebody else to do that. Rule 2004 exams, your requests for documents, your subpoenas that go along with those. If you need motions to quash, or you need somebody to get the responses and objections together, don't waste your time doing that. Get a freelance attorney to do those for you. Then you get something back that you need to just do, final little tweaks to and get it out the door. Stay relief motions, oppositions, things like that are great use for our freelancers in your Chapter 7 cases. And then of course, adversaries. I know lots of Chapter 7 attorneys get a little squeamish when it comes to, do I have to do do I want to handle a denial of discharge adversary? Do I want to handle an avoidance action adversary? Because they are messy and meaty. And sometimes they'll refer those out. Well, you don't need to refer those out, because you can use your freelancers to answer the complaint, to do the discovery, to do the motion practice, to do all the written work that is so time consuming, those adversaries, and make sure that you're keeping the profit, and you're growing and expanding your practice on what you're doing. So all of these are awesome ways for the consumer Chapter 7 attorney to use Law Clerk.
Sorry, Talitha, let me get this next slide for you.
Okay. So, so if you do, I think most of us do, even if you're not a full-time consumer Chapter 7, you do a little bit of Chapter 7 work here and there. And you may also do some Chapter 13 work. So if you're a Chapter 13 attorney, and I will say this is a little bit of a mystery land to me, so I always need extra help when it comes to Chapter 13s. But if you're a Chapter 13 attorney, or you're a 7 attorney picking up 13s, there's a lot of nuances and specialty to it. And so everything you can use it for in a 7, you can use Law Clerk for in a 13, but you can also use it to help prepare your plans, or deal with objections to plans, or deal with plan issues, or proofs of claim, or objections to proofs of claim. Or, if you get conversion motions or dismissal motions, sort of those things that are unique to Chapter 13, and it's helpful to have somebody who has practiced in Chapter 13 helping you. We have a whole number of just fabulous law clerks who can do all that work for you. So again, you can keep your time focused on growing your practice in court, meeting your clients, etc. So just get that written work off your desk and get it to somebody who has, significant experience in that area. And if you do Chapter 11, which is probably my bread and butter, it is just a voluminous amount of paper that is filed in Chapter 11 cases. So anything you need drafted, I think I've probably used Law Clerk for every single thing that is on this chart right now. Your first day motions, your exclusivity motions, state relief, cash collateral, claim objections, valuation issues, dismissal motions, anything you need drafted. Or if you're trying to decide sort of what avenue to take, you can have somebody go do a memo and sort of survey how other courts are dealing with an issue. There's just really, it's a great way to get research done, and I get a motion in, I post it on Law Clerk to get that opposition drafted. I have a draft that's 90% there. on a week before the deadline. I put my finishing touches and file it. It is amazing, and all bankruptcy attorneys should be taking advantage of this because it's just a better way to practice.
I love that. It definitely is a better way to practice. And these are some great ideas of how to get started. But again, everyone be creative when you're thinking about Law Clerk. The sky is the limit. So earlier I mentioned that all of our work is done on a project by project basis at a flat fee price set by the hiring attorney. And for those of you who are used to working on the billable hour, you may be like, well, how does that work? So we want to give you a few pricing examples as well to show kind of how this would work. And later on, we'll show how you can make money with this model as well. So Talitha, would you walk us through a few pricing examples?
Absolutely. So again, the flat fee is wonderful, particularly in bankruptcy, everything is so cost sensitive. So knowing as the attorney what you're going to pay for specific work is really helpful. And so these give you an idea. If you need marketing materials, you need articles or blogs, any other information to get up on your website to make you more competitive, particularly now as bankruptcy is unequivocally going to be picking up, to make yourself more competitive. Get a bunch of bankruptcy attorneys to do these blogs for you. And just as you can see here, you can turn them in, $150, $200, $300, depending on how robust of a blog you need. But just a great way to get those substantive issues people are looking for when they're trying to decide, are you the right bankruptcy attorney to go with? These kind of give, these are ideas of sort of price ranges. So, research motions to lift stay, $300 to $750, depending on how challenging it is. Objection to a plan at $750. Fraudulent transfer analysis at $1250, depending on, perhaps you need somebody to dig into a bunch of documents and give you a memo and let you know sort of what the likelihood of the avoidability is. Doing that for $1250 is quite inexpensive and gives your client a huge benefit. And then you can see, we have much more substantive work, but still abundantly reasonably priced. So, if you need a complicated opposition to a motion to dismiss or an opposition to a motion to prosecute avoidance actions, you need some of these really complex motions drafted. You're looking at $1,500 to $2,000, but still, that is a quite reasonable, for the pricing in order to get these substantive motions done where, again, you need to do your finishing touches, get them out the door.
Absolutely. If paying a freelance lawyer a couple $1,000s to do work that maybe takes 20 to 30 hours maybe, is a huge time savings for you to do other work that's more valuable when it comes to your precious time. So thank you for these great examples. So I think the $1 million question is really, can lawyers make money by outsourcing work to freelance lawyers? And the answer is a big, all capital letters, resounding yes. The key thing to keep in mind here is Model Rule 1.5 or your state's corresponding rule. But the ethics opinions, rules, and case law all overwhelmingly say that an attorney can bill a freelance lawyer's time to their client at a reasonable market rate. So the key here really is reasonable. This is the way that big law firms have made money off of their associates for decades. And there's no reason that solo attorneys and small firms can't do the same thing, but do it in an even smarter way by using freelance lawyers who don't have all of the overhead associated with a full-time associate attorney. Okay, so let's do an example to show how this could come to life. Let's say you hire someone to draft a motion to lift stay. How's my bankruptcy lingo, Talitha?
That's perfect.
Perfect, okay. Motion to lift stay. And you agree to pay that freelancer $1,000 for that work. Through the Law Clerk site, they are still going to track their time and they're going to give you a time card when the work is completed. We do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, it allows you to bill the work to your client. Number two, it also gives you the data to know if you price that project accordingly, or if you need to increase the fee or maybe cut it back a little bit the next time you post a similar type of project. But in this example, if you paid them $1,000, they work 8.5 hours, you determine that a reasonable rate for their work based on their years of experience and the difficulty of the work is $200 an hour. That means you could bill the freelancer's work to your client at $1,700. Keeping in mind you paid the freelancer $1,000, that is bringing in an additional $700 of revenue, really a profit to your firm, without you spending 8.5 hours writing that motion, which for so many lawyers I know would mean that they were staying up till 2 or 3 in the morning because that's the only time you can get really deep substantive work done if you're busy meeting with clients in a court all day. So this is just a win all around. It's a great way for you to get work, get the help you need, and to make more money for your firm. Now, imagine you did this once a week for every week of the month, 4 times a month. That'd be an additional $2,800. Imagine if you did that twice a week, every week for a month, or for the whole year. It really can bring a substantial additional stream of revenue and can be a game changer for a lot of solos and small attorneys. And I get really excited about that. So another very common question that we get is, okay, sounds like a great idea, but who are these freelancers? You know, why can't they get real jobs? And I hate that, because what's a real job in the law? There are so many things you can do with a law degree. And in our experience, the freelance lawyers are some amazingly talented attorneys that are very intentionally choosing a different career path. And I think there's no better way for us to help show you how amazing they are than to introduce a few of them. So Talitha, would you introduce us to some of your favorites?
Absolutely. And I think what you said was so important. You know, these really are folks that have just awesome credentials. I've worked with every single person on this list, and they are fantastic, like just absolutely fantastic. You know, so our first one here, you know, he's a law school professor, and he picks up work during the summers. Like, how fantastic is that? Just wickedly smart. And just really fantastic, you know. If you need appellate work, appellate is such a time, like so time intensive, and unequivocally not the best use of your time. And so, you know, we have wonderful freelancers like Narisa here, who's been practicing for over 10 years, been in big law, you know, just really incredible experience, who are there to help you and do the drafting. You kind of look across, you know, we have bankruptcy court clerks, people who've worked at large banks that come with a corporate experience, which can be really important in some of the complicated cases, to have somebody who has that business background as well as their legal degree. And I was the last one here, one of my favorites, John. You know, John joined Law Clerk as a freelance attorney after practicing for, you know, more than 40 years. He's argued before, I think, almost every circuit court. He's argued before the US Supreme Court. He is wicked smart. And John picks up freelance work because, you know, he hangs out with the grandkids and then said he got bored. And so, you know, I am like just incredibly blessed to have this huge wealth of knowledge drafting some of my pleadings, and you can too. So don't miss out.
Yeah, John's definitely one of my favorites too. I love that he just is so passionate about his love for the law that he freelances. So that's awesome. I know we have, you know, we have a very large bank of freelance lawyers who do work in bankruptcy. So these are just a few. I think we have a few more on the next slide that we can introduce briefly.
Yeah. No, I just the volume. I mean, every time I post a project, the number of attorneys, I struggle to pick one because the resumes are just so impressive. And a lot of them are, you know, women that worked for 5, 6, 7 years and decided to stay home with kids and have just these incredible backgrounds. Some folks are traveling internationally. Some people are just trying to practice law differently and not have a traditional firm life. And so, you know, they're really dedicated to their work. And you can just see on here, I mean, 20 years bankruptcy experience, attorneys that have practiced doing chapter 7, 11, 13 work, representing trustees. I just really, any skill set you're looking for, we unequivocally have just fantastic freelance attorneys who have that experience, precisely the experience you need, and are available to help you whenever you need help. So I think what we hear more often than not is how amazed people are at how incredible their applicants are. And so dive in, post that project, and just put this awesome pool of bankruptcy knowledge to work for you.
Absolutely. So now that you've seen a few of our freelancers, if you haven't already been working with some of them yourselves, we really want to give you the secret for success, and it is taking full advantage of our Teams feature. So the Teams feature, what that does is that allows you as the busy attorney, the hiring attorney, to favorite your top freelancers when you find people you like and add them to your team. You can create as many teams as you like, and we have a few ideas for you on how to do that. But all of our top users who are using us in a very robust way, where we've become an integral part of their business model, are all using teams, and that's how they're seeing the most success. So let's give you a couple of ideas how that could work. First off, okay, I know that you're here because this is a bankruptcy webinar, but maybe some of you have other practice areas too, where maybe you were trying to get rid of those other practice areas to just focus on the bankruptcy work. Whatever it may be, if you have multiple practice areas at your firm, you could build a team for each of those practice areas. We have one of our top users is in a small town in the Midwest. She's a solo attorney, and she practices in a variety of areas. She's really a general practitioner, and she's built a team for each of her practice areas and has about 2 to 3 freelancers on each of them. And so in essence, she has about a dozen virtual associates who each have a specialized knowledge in that area. And, you know, really there's no one magical associate she could go hire. You know, she did want to hire someone full-time who would be able to service her clients as well as this team of virtual associates with their specialized knowledge. So consider building teams for different practice areas if you practice in different areas at your firm.
Absolutely. And what we're also seeing a lot of people doing are building specific type of work teams. So, you know, these ones are definitely bankruptcy specific, but, you know, you can build a team that just has folks that are really great at research and writing. I was a pretty good researcher back in the day. That skill is long gone. And so, you know, you can find the folks who really can go find that one case you need, that needle in the haystack. You can build teams with attorneys that have a specialty in Chapter 13. So whenever you have a Chapter 13 issue, you have the folks to go to. Maybe you deal with a lot of avoidance actions. You know, build your team of bankruptcy litigators that you go to when you have a bankruptcy litigation matter. And they can really help you with specific types of work. You know, maybe you have somebody who can just churn stay relief motions. But, you know, finding the folks that can do specific types of work within the bankruptcy field and then creating those teams can be just hugely helpful. And we're seeing a lot of attorneys doing that. The other thing that I really encourage you to do is to think about, if, for instance, if you have an adversary proceeding, you know, maybe you have 1 or 2 freelancers you like to work with, and work with them through an entire adversary proceeding, because then they know the documents, they know your case, they know the facts, and they are, you know, much more attuned to the nuances of the case. So if they start with that research memo and walk you through the complaint and the discovery, when you get to trial and you need somebody for the motion practice, you know, they are teed up and ready to go. And that also works in your Chapter 13 cases and your Chapter 11 cases. You know, while it's not a, you know, the same kind of flow, if you start with a freelancer on sort of those initial projects or initial research motion, and then you have, you know, you have them deal with a trustee motion or a dismissal motion or an exclusivity motion, they get to know the players, they know the facts of the case, and they're just really able to work and help you just like an associate, you know, down the hall, except all the benefits, you know, somebody who knows your case, somebody who knows how to work with you, somebody who's there to help you, just, you know, your virtual associate, but without the overhead. So all the benefits.
Awesome. So again, get creative. Think of the ways that maybe building a team could help you get organized, start delegating more, work your cases more smoothly. I think it is definitely the secret weapon of everybody that we see on our site having the most success, is that they are building teams and working with those teams. So a few more reminders and we're almost to the end here. So if you have any specific questions, feel free to drop those in the chat and we'd be happy to answer those here. Or of course you can reach out one-on-one afterwards. But don't forget, we have freelancers in all 50 states that practice in every area of law you can imagine. So if you do have other practice areas besides bankruptcy, we are here to help with those as well. There's no fee to sign up. There's no monthly fee to be a part of Law Clerk. If you don't already have an account, I would encourage you to take 3 minutes and sign up for one today, just so that it's available to you, you're ready to go, you're set up. And I will note that one of the last steps of the sign up is we ask you to submit a selfie of you with your driver's license. So you get your driver's license, hold it by your face, send us a selfie. The only reason for that is so that we make sure you are who you say you are and that you are an attorney in good standing. This is an attorney to attorney service, and this is our way to make sure that no consumers are on the site. So just a quick note on that, so you're not like, what is this? And last but certainly not least, Don't forget that we have a satisfaction guarantee on every single project. That is how confident we are in our freelancers' ability, and we back that up with that satisfaction guarantee. So if ever you get work that is not up to par, we want to know about it, and we want to make it right to you, whether that means getting your money back to you, getting someone else to redo the work, or both. We are going to have your back to help you get work done. We want you to be as satisfied as we are with our freelancers. So definitely keep that in mind. Thank you again for joining us. Like I said, if you don't already have an account with LawClerk, there's no time like the present to get signed up for that. Once you sign up, you will be immediately matched with your own dedicated LawClerk advisor, and they can work with you one-on-one to help get you started. If you already have an account and you haven't talked to your advisor yet, definitely reach out, get in touch with them, and get some ideas from them on how you can get started. We'd love for you to connect with us on social media. We're on all the big social media platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. We have a ton of great videos on YouTube if you'd like to learn in this manner through video. We even have a video there that walks you through the steps and the screens of posting your first project. So if that's helpful, go check out some of those demo videos. And of course, if you want to reach out one by one, just shoot us an email, support@lawclerk.legal. We'd be happy to set up a time to talk to you directly. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to stop the screen share, and I see we have a few questions that came in. Give me 1 second, I'll pull those up. So David has a great question. Thank you, David. He says, does the assigning attorney prepay for the service or when the job is complete? Excellent question. The way it works is that, let's say you post a motion to lift stay, and you get a whole bunch of freelancers that apply to work on that project. You go through, you pick the one you think is best. The moment that you click assign to assign that person to the project, we're going to charge your credit card for that flat fee price that you set, but we hold the funds with a company called Braintree. It's a third-party subsidiary of PayPal. We hold those funds in an escrow account until you come back and say the work's done and that you're happy with it. So the freelancer doesn't get paid until they've done the work and the work is up to par. That's the flow of the money. It's also important to know that we handle all the payment processing fees and the tax reporting, so you don't have to worry about any 1099s. That's just one less administrative hassle for you to have to take care of. We handle all of that through the commission that LawClerk takes on the process, or on the project. But the only thing you're going to pay is that flat fee price. Now, another common question is often, how does the malpractice insurance work? Talitha, do you want to take that one? I see that one coming in.
So keep in mind that the freelance attorneys are working in a paraprofessional capacity. So, you know, they're effectively working as a glorified paralegal. The wonderful part of this is that you don't have to have somebody barred in your state. You can work with folks from a number, you know, across the country, as long as they're barred and in good standing. Which is amazing in bankruptcy, since we're a federal practice. You know, my favorite freelancers literally span the continent, so fantastic. But they are working in a paraprofessional capacity, and so it is your malpractice insurance. While some of our freelancers do have malpractice insurance, it's not required, and you own the work product. You are the one signing it, and so that's how the malpractice insurance works.
Fantastic. And Jose has a great follow-up question to the one that David posed. Jose is asking if he would give LawClerk a 1099. The answer is no. We're just like any other service that you use. You pay us for the work the freelancers do. We take on the responsibility of the 1099. So you don't have to do any 1099s, which is great. It's just one less thing you have to worry about every year. So excellent questions. Thanks to all of you again for joining us. We hope this was useful. Again, if you haven't made that account, there's no time like the present. And if you have one, we look forward to seeing you on the site soon. We're always available to help if you have questions. Thank you so much for joining us today. Bye, guys.
Bye.